All right, hello everyone. My name is Jared Greenberg. I'm the real estate broker here in the Houston and surrounding areas. Today I'm going to go over the Katy area. We're going to go over some of the numbers. I'm going to break down some of the areas, some of the numbers. So if you're looking to move here, you're looking to sell, you can kind of get an idea of the different areas of Katy and kind of how they differ in terms of sales prices, sales volume, new construction versus non-new construction. So let me just go ahead and just show you real quick. So when we're right here and we're looking at Katy, we have basically 4 zip codes that comprise the entire Katy area. Now, it's not perfect, it's not exact, but it's extremely close. So the 4 zip codes that we're looking at right here are going to be 77450. We have 77494, which is going to be southwest Katy. 77450 is southeast Katy. We're going to have 77493, which is going to be northwest Katy. And then we have 77449, which is going to be the northeast Katy. So when we're looking at these, just to kind of give you an idea, 77450 is going to be, older neighborhoods, more character. There's not going to be any new construction in 77450. You're going to have prices ranging anywhere from starting into the high 200s all the way into the millions of dollars. We go into 77494. That, historically the last 10 years, that's where most of the new construction has been. And recently, over the last 15 to 18 months, the new construction is phased out of the 77494 area and moved up to the 77493 area. And that's basically, it came down to they ran out of land. They built all the subdivisions, all the lots. There's no vacant land in that area for residential development. So the next 10 years in the Katy area is going to be the northwest portion of Katy, which is going to be 77493. So there's still tons of land that we have available. And if we look on this map right here, you can see what I'm talking about when you see all the green space. So you see all this green space right here that's in 77493 in the Katy area. This is where development's going to be happening the next 10 years. You already see it. You have big giant neighborhoods, Sunterra, multiple neighborhoods out there that they're just building thousands and thousands of homes. That's what it was like down here in 77494, the last 10 years. So we're going to go ahead and look into the data into 77450, and let's see what that looks like. We're going to go over the average sales price at first. So we got 77450. We're going to be looking at the single family data month over month for the last basically year and a half. And let's see what that looks like. So June of this year, average sales price, $439,000. Compared to June of 2024, we're at $454, so slight decrease in average sales price when we're looking month over month. Last month, you were at $466 compared to $492 the year before. So in this zip code, looking at average sales prices, it looks like we are down a little bit. Now, if we go to look at another statistic, let's look at the number of sales, see what the number looks like. So price is slightly down in 77450. If we look at the sales data, though, we're actually up a little bit. June of this year compared to June of last year, 72 sales this month versus 69 in 24. But it's conflicting data. Last month we were at 59 compared to 69 the year before, 75 in April compared to 65 the year before. So we're not having an issue with sales volume. There's still transactions happening. Looks like price is trending downward a little bit. And let's look at listings to see what listings are doing. So we go up here and look at number of active listings. We're going to have 208 listings compared to 138 listings June of 24. So listings, and this is matching up almost perfectly with what we're seeing, in the Houston area, in the nationwide area. We're seeing a trend right now where the amount of listings on the market is going up and up and up. The Houston area, we've been seeing 30 to 40% higher listings. If you compare the chart on the screen right now, total active listings in the Houston and surrounding areas, June of 25 was 59,000 listings compared to 46,000 in June of 24, so up 27.2%. So, you know, inventory is up. You know, if you're buying, this is possibly a good thing because you're going to have more listings to choose from. You may have some leverage depending on how long the home's been sitting on the market. If you're selling, this is going to be something you have to pay a particular attention to. When you go into selling your house and you're looking at comps, a lot of people historically, they're looking at sold prices when they're trying to sell their house. You may want to start looking into the actives. Actives are going to be more important to an extent when it comes to selling your house than the solds, because the solds are from 6 months ago. And if prices are trending downwards, if you're not the cheapest, nicest house in the area, you may struggle a little bit. And you don't have to be crazy cheap, but you don't want to be, if there's 5 houses that are cheaper than you and they're nicer than you, you're probably not going to sell until those 5 houses sell. So let's look at some of the other zip codes real quick. So 77450 does not have any new construction. Let's go to 77494, which recently just ran out of new construction. But let's look at, let's go ahead and look at their active listings since we just looked at 77450. So if we look at 77494, we can see a chart right here of active listings, and it's matching up with 77450. 494 and 450, they're matching up the same. All of these zip codes, by the way, are going to look like this on a graph perspective because inventory is going to really high levels. Now, 77494 does not have a whole lot of new construction. They're pretty much sold out. There should only be a couple, honestly, in that zip code. We're at 556 compared to 324 last year. So we're seeing extreme inventory increases. 77494 is a higher price point. If we go down here and look at the average price, so it looks at the average sales price in 77494, we're at 598,000 compared to 635,000 in June of 24. So slight decrease as well on the price. And if we go down and look at the number of sales, let's see what that number looks like. So we're at 144 sales, you know, in June of this month, in June of last month compared to May of 25 also. So it's the same number in both months. When we compare that to June and May of last year, the sales are going to be lower. So that could have, you know, something to do with higher price points, higher interest rates, of why the sales numbers are not where they were last year. 77450 had more sales numbers, and that may have something to do with the, you know, more affordable pricing that people can get there. So people can get a home there in the 300s, whereas 77494, you saw the average price is closer to that 600,000 range. Okay, so let's go into 77493, and I'm going to compare that to 77450 and 77494. So if we look back at the map, we just went over 450, we went over 494, now we're going to go look at the numbers here in 493. 493 is where all the new construction is right now, remember that, or most of it. 494, we've had it the last 10 years, we've phased out. 450 is older. No new construction. So let's look at these numbers in 493 and see what happens when I toggle on and off the new construction. So let's look at 77493. We're going to look at new and resale together. Number of active listings. If we go over here and look at the data, look at this number compared to the ones we just looked at. 1,168 listings compared to 809 listings of this time last year. So comparing the last two zip codes, this number is by far larger. If we look over and let me toggle the new construction off and show you what I mean. So if we go to new construction and say no new construction, so what I'm about to do is it's only going to pull homes that are resale. Let's generate and see what it looks like. So we look at number of active listings. Resale, we're at 576 compared to 339 last year. So significantly greater. It's going with the trend. But the reason we're seeing this huge spike in numbers compared to maybe some of the other zip codes is it's including those new homes. And when you include the new homes in 77493, it literally doubles the amount of inventory. Now, I want to go and show you the number of sales real quick and show you how that compares and kind of show you what's selling and why it's selling in that 77493 area. So let's look at all the sales. So if we were to pull all of the sales numbers for 77493, this is just amount of homes sold. We generate the data and we look at the numbers. So we're going to look at 298 homes sold compared to 207 last year. So we're having good sales number, 369 the 2 months ago compared to 255 of last year. So we're seeing a higher number of sales than last year. We're seeing a very, compared to the other zip codes, 77493 is hitting much higher numbers on the sales volume. But let me show you why. Now we're going to go ahead and turn off new construction and let's see how many resales are being sold. So we're going to set no to new construction. Let's regenerate the data, and now we're at 77. So if you look at the data in 77493, most of those sales are going to be new construction. And if we go look at the average sales price to the entire area, what we're going to see is that the pricing has been hit more so than the other neighborhoods. So let me show you the average sales price. So we're at 427 this time last year. Now we're at 382,000 this year. And if we were to pull this over and look at resales, and we look at the resale data, so let's do, actually we're going to do no to new construction. We're going to see that the resale homes in 77493 are actually selling higher on an average price point than the new construction. So new construction is actually going down while resale is going up. So when we look at the average sales price in 77493, what we're seeing right now is that the resale market is actually having a higher average price point than this time last year than the new construction. If we go down and look at the new construction, you're going to see that the pricing is actually going down. What that's telling me, honestly, is builders are moving their inventory. They have more margin than the average seller usually, and they're trying to make sales. So, they have employees. They have to make their numbers hit. They're forcing a lot of these homes to sell by offering, big buy downs on interest rate. They're offering big price cuts to get homes moved, whereas the stereotypical seller can't offer that to get homes moved. So the average resale seller in 77493, they're actually getting a good price, and a lot of that may have to do with it being Old Town Katy and being just a very popular place to live in general. But the new construction, they are hurting the numbers a little bit on average pricing just because they're building so many homes. They are selling a lot. They're selling way more than the resale market, but they're somewhat forcing those sales to happen, dropping the prices, buying down the interest rate, $30,000, $40,000. And, the good news about that is it's getting people into homes. The bad news is it might be affecting the average sales price a little bit, but, from the resale perspective, you're actually not getting hit that hard. Okay, so now we're going to look at 77449, and we're going to compare that to 77493, 494, and 450. So if we go and look at 77449, we can see here that average price point 291 compared to 289 of June of 24. We've seen slight appreciation. As you can see by the numbers right here, the prices are going to be, more modest for, if you're wanting a lower priced home. This is the zip code if you want to be in the Katy area to buy something more affordable. The good news is prices are staying steady in this area. We're seeing slight appreciation, and activity looks good as well. If we go over here and look at the number of active sales, so if we look at the sales number, we see 92 June of this year compared to 106 of last year. So a slight downtick, 113 in May of 25 versus 101 in May of 24. So it's kind of staying right there on the trend. We're seeing it's honestly about the same as last year. So what does all of this data mean to you? Well, if we look at the screen again and I show you the different zip codes, if we go to 77450, we're seeing good sales, prices are slightly down. You can buy a house and, that 300 plus price point, 280s, if you probably in the high 280s. We go to 77494, prices are also going to be slightly down to this time last year. Higher price point is probably pushing a lot of people from slowing down on the number of sales in there just because you have such a high price point. Interest rates are getting out there. It's making people afford to buy a house in some areas. If we go to 77493, that's where we're going to see the huge discrepancy of new construction and the resale. Over half of the inventory at 77493 is going to be new construction. The good news about this is the resale home sellers are seeing a slight appreciation on their price, so they're not getting really hurt right now just because it's a very desirable area. And the good news is on buyers is you're seeing a lot of builders that are willing to buy down the rate, get you a better rate, get you into a house, and also, really take down the price of the house. So that's going to be the benefits of the new construction in 77493, or if you're looking for that old Katy feel. If you want to go to 77449, you're going to be able to get into a cheaper house where the pricing is stable. We're seeing the sales stable, and I hope all of this information is helpful for you to, whether you're looking to sell or buy here in the Katy area. I can run numbers like this in any part of Houston. If you want to run numbers on any other part of Houston, let me know. I can do custom data on zip codes, cities. We could do sales prices, average days on market, whatever you want to know, just reach out to me. And thank you for watching the video.